Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Amritpal Singh. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, Prime Minister Narendra Modi launches nationwide 100-week campaign against substance abuse, calls upon youth to stay away from drugs. Donald Trump holds strikes on Iran after what he calls perimeters of a deal are reached to end the war. Spain installs floating barrier in Ceuta to stall migrant rush. European Union calls an emergency meeting. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Sunday launched the Nasha Mukt for Viksit Bharat Sankalp Abhiyan, a nationwide 100-week campaign against substance abuse. Addressing a massive nationwide video conference, the Prime Minister formally greeted the diverse assembly, including over 1 crore young citizens connected from more than 28,000 locations. Emphasizing the collective weight of the moment, he framed the gathering as a profound national commitment. Speaking at the launch of the campaign, the Prime Minister urged every citizen, especially the youth, to join this movement.
आज लिया गया ये संकल्प आने वाले 100 सप्ताह तक लगातार ऐसे ही आगे बढ़ेगा। हर रविवार कला, संस्कृति, स्पोर्ट्स, मेडिटेशन, अध्यात्म और सेवा से जुड़ी गतिविधियां होगी। नशा मुक्ति का संदेश नए लोगों तक पहुंचेगा। आने वाले 100 रविवार नशा मुक्त भारत की दिशा में 100 मजबूत कदम हो गए, 100 मजबूत स्टेप्स।
The PM assured the youth that the government stands firmly alongside them in this crucial battle, citing unprecedented nationwide crackdowns, massive seizures worth thousands of crores, and soaring arrest rates targeting drug dealers and smugglers.
ड्रग्स के खिलाफ अभियान में आज सरकार भी मजबूती से युवाओं के साथ खड़ी है। देश में नशे के कारोबारियों और तस्करों पर सख्ती के साथ कार्रवाई हो रही है। पहले की तुलना में कई गुना ज्यादा गिरफ्तारियां हुई हैं। हजारों करोड़ रुपए की ड्रग्स भी जब्त की गई है। ये दिखाता है कि ड्रग्स के खिलाफ हमारी सरकार कितनी सख्त है।
Contrasting the stellar achievements of today's youth in startups, artificial intelligence, sports, and space exploration with devastating impacts of substance abuse, the Prime Minister delivered a stark warning about how addiction derails focus and destroys dreams.
आज के युवा स्टार्टअप्स की दुनिया में छाए हैं, एआई को लीड कर रहे हैं, स्पोर्ट्स में तिरंगा लहरा रहे हैं, स्पेस से लेकर साइंस तक नए कीर्तिमान बना रहे हैं। लेकिन साथियों, जब कोई युवा अगर ड्रग्स के एडिक्शन में फंस जाए तो केवल एक युवा नहीं हारता, एक सपना हार जाता है, एक सपने का बाल मृत्यु हो जाती है, एक परिवार हार जाता है, पूरा का पूरा परिवार टूट जाता है। और जब परिवार में, समाज में ऐसा होता है और कहीं न कहीं राष्ट्र की शक्ति भी कमजोर पड़ जाती है। और इसलिए दुश्मन देश भी षड्यंत्र करके हमारे देश के युवाओं को इस नशे की लत में खींचने के लिए कोई कोशिश बाकी नहीं रखते हैं। ड्रग्स सप्लाई कर करके कमाई करना और हमारे जैसे देश को तबाह करना, ये भी उनकी आतंकी साजिश का हिस्सा होता है। और इसलिए हमें हर एक युवा को नशे के चुंगल में फंसने से बचाना है।
All right. President Draupadi Murmu flagged off the inaugural President's bodyguard soldier-a-thon at the President House in New Delhi on Sunday. The President was accompanied by the former Army Chief and Governor of Mizoram, General V.K. Singh. President unveiled a special postal cover on this occasion. DD India's Vishal Barristo reports.
The event commemorates the 253-year legacy of the President's bodyguard. Raised in 1773, the President's bodyguard is the world's only airborne cavalry regiment and the senior-most regiment of the Indian Armed Forces. It also marks 27 years of Kargil victory.
It makes me very happy and proud for the first PVG soldier-a-thon to be flagged off by our Honorable President from Rashtrapati Bhavan. It's a unique honor for the regiment and for the armed forces.
The event is being organized for the first time and is aimed at encouraging the youth towards physical fitness.
Being a part of this movement, the President Bodyguard feels very proud that we're in close touch with our youth and we can inspire them to be fit and to be healthy.
8,000 runners took part in this run. The run has been divided into 3 categories: Veer Daud for 3 kilometers, Mahavir Daud for 5 kilometers, and Paramveer Daud for 10 kilometers. The run is sponsored by Wonder Cements.
It feels proud because this is a cause for a nation, and especially the military and president, bodyguard. We really feel proud to sponsor these kind of events.
Soldier-a-thon is a commemorative marathon series in India founded by former Special Forces officer Major Dr. Surendra Punia to honor the Indian Armed Forces and raise welfare funds for war-wounded soldiers, veterans, and paraplegic rehabilitation centers. Run with the soldier, run for the soldier. With this motto, today's Soldier-a-thon has tried to reach out to the youth. 8,000 runners are participating in this marathon. The whole idea is to attract youth towards sports and keep them away from drugs. With cameraman Monty in Delhi, this is Vishal Barristo for DD India, President House.
US President Donald Trump and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman held a phone call on Sunday. The Saudi press agency reported that the talks aimed at reducing regional tensions. Crown Prince MBS said that de-escalation efforts should prevent a slide into a wider conflict with consequences for the regional and international security. Earlier, Donald Trump announced that he had decided to hold off a renewed attack on Iran, claiming that his West Asia allies had reached what he called the perimeters of a deal to end the 5-month-old war. Iranian media has, however, denied Trump's claim that Iran asked US not to strike. Iran's Mehr news agency said that the allegation was nothing but a new lie, adding that the Iranian armed forces were on high alert and ready for any eventuality. And earlier on Saturday, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi warned the United States against any adventurous action. Araghchi held separate phone calls with senior Turkish, Pakistani, and Saudi officials discussing the risks of further escalation. During these calls, he warned against any US military action, reiterating that Iran was willing to respond decisively to any attack against its sovereignty or national security. These developments come amid growing speculation about a fresh US-Israeli military campaign targeting Iranian infrastructure, while Tehran has threatened to expand its retaliation beyond the region. And Iran on Saturday also warned Gulf countries against allowing the US and Israel to use their territory to launch attacks on the country. According to the Fars news agency, Iranian Foreign Ministry in a statement said that the governments in the region have a legal, religious, and moral duty to prevent US and Israel from using their territory and facilities to attack Iran. The ministry also said that the continued maritime blockade and the attacks on Iranian military sites, civilian areas, and infrastructure amounts to an act of aggression and violation of the UN Charter. It added that Iran would exercise its right to legitimate self-defense. Moving on to the other conflict, the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Ukrainian drone strikes killed at least 2 people in regions along Russia's Volga River overnight. On Sunday, Ukrainian drones also struck several targets, including a warehouse belonging to Wild Berries, which is Russia's largest online retailer. Ukrainian forces have been striking deeper inside Russia as they ramp up strikes on economic and energy targets, hoping to undermine Moscow's ability to wage its more than 4-year war in Ukraine. Russia's defense ministry said on Sunday that its air defense systems intercepted and destroyed 635 Ukrainian drones overnight, across more than a dozen regions. And the latest on the unrest taking place in parts of Nepal. The local administration in various districts of Nepal in southern plains have started easing the curfew as an attempt to ease life after nearly a week following the unrest that started from Devanganj and Kaptanganj in Sunsari district. Harmony rallies have also been organized in parts of the district in southern plains as a gesture of unity. On Saturday, curfew was lifted and prohibitory orders issued in 10 local levels of Sunsari and Janakpur area of Dhanusha, while curfew has also been lifted in Lahan and Siraha. The Gold Bazar area of Siraha, which saw a bloody day this week, is still kept under curfew. The Sunsari administration has lifted the curfew in designated areas of Etahari, Ramdhuni, Inaruva, Duhabi, Bokhraha, Narsingh, Koshi, Gaddi, Divanganj, Harinagar, and Barju from 8:30 a.m. On Saturday and imposed prohibitory orders till 5 p.m. local time. Stating that the situation is gradually returning to normal, the administration has urged the public to follow prohibitory orders to maintain peace, security, and communal harmony. Violators have also been warned that action will be taken against them as per the prevailing law. Violence continues in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir with clashes between security forces and protesters resulting in multiple casualties. Official reports indicate that confrontations in areas including Rawalakot and surrounding districts have led to deaths among both civilians and security personnel. Authorities have stated that forces responded in self-defense after protests turned violent. A communications blackout and curfew remain in place across parts of the region, restricting movement and access to information. Human rights groups have called for independent investigations into the incidents. Security deployments have been intensified to restore order, while officials continue to monitor the situation closely as efforts to stabilize the area proceed. Vietnam has emerged as one of the world's biggest mobile gaming markets by downloads, but developers are now moving beyond short-lived hyper-casual games. Studios are increasingly creating original intellectual property based on Vietnamese culture, history, and folklore to build long-term global franchises. Vietnam ranked second worldwide in mobile game downloads in 2025 with an estimated 4.9 million downloads. An international team of archaeologists has begun a major excavation in Sri Lanka's ancient capital, Polonnaruwa, using advanced laser mapping technology to study the rise and decline of the medieval kingdom. The fifth phase of the multi-year research project focuses on key areas of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The initiative aims to uncover new insights into Polon-Naruvu's urban development between 1070 and 1215 AD. Hundreds of spectators gathered in Pacifica, California for the annual World Dog Surfing Championships, where skilled canines competed on the waves. Among the participants was Isa, a 6-year-old French bulldog and 5-time competitor. Owners and fans celebrated the event, which showcased surfing dogs and California's unique beach culture. And still to come up on this edition of DD India Live, tragedy in Indonesia as passenger ferry catches fire off the Madura island, 5 lives lost. OPEC Plus agrees to raise production from September. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Amritpal Singh. On to Spain now, where at least 72 people have died after last week's mass influx of migrants into Spain's Ceuta enclave. Most of the estimated 60,000 people who rushed into Spain's North African territory returned to Morocco, since the territory's largest migrant crossing. Spanish police and troops patrolled the streets of Ceuta on Sunday as the enclave returned to normal. Recent migrant rush into the enclave has caused international crisis for Spain, with European partners criticizing Madrid for its immigration policies. The European Union will hold an extraordinary video conference on Tuesday to address the migrant surge. European Union interior ministers will hold an emergency video conference on Tuesday to coordinate a response to the recent mass influx of migrants into Spain's North African enclave of Ceuta. The meeting follows an open letter from 22 member states urging swift joint action to prevent further uncontrolled crossings, as well as a call from Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen confirmed that thanks to effective Spanish and Moroccan enforcement, not a single person who entered Ceuta reached mainland Spain or the wider EU. Spanish authorities reported that nearly all of the estimated 50,000 to 60,000 arrivals have already returned to Morocco, with the situation largely stabilized. At least 5 people have died and 41 remain missing after a passenger ferry caught fire off Indonesia's Madura island on Sunday, triggering a massive search and rescue operation. Indonesia's search and rescue agency says that the ferry was carrying 271 passengers and crew members. So far, 225 people have been rescued, while teams continue searching for those unaccounted for. The ferry was traveling from Surabaya in East Java to Makassar in southwest Sulawesi when the fire broke out on Sunday morning. The cause of the blaze is still under investigation, with rescue crews continuing efforts at the scene. A tourist aircraft crashed on Saturday while flying over Peru's ancient Nazca Lines archaeological site, killing all 13 people aboard. The Cessna Caravan C208 aircraft, operated by Peruvian airline Aerodyna, took off from Pisco Airport for a sightseeing flight over the UNESCO World Heritage Site before crashing in the Socos area, which is about 6 kilometers from Nazca City and 19 kilometers from the Nazca Lines. Police said that 11 passengers and 2 crew members died. The crash occurred a day after tourist flights over the area resumed following a suspension due to strong winds. Victims reportedly including 7 Italians, 2 Germans, and 2 Spaniards. The cause is under investigation. Rescue teams responded at the site. Saudi Arabia, Russia, Iraq, Kuwait, Kazakhstan, Algeria, and Oman agreed in a virtual OPEC Plus meeting on Sunday to increase oil production by 188,000 barrels per day from September, despite continued disruptions to global energy supplies caused by the West Asia conflict. In a joint statement, the 7 participating countries said they have decided to implement production adjustment of 188 barrels per day 88,000 barrels per day. The increase was widely expected by analysts and completes the reversal of the second of the 3 production cut packages introduced by OPEC Plus between late 2022 and 2023, when the group removed nearly 6 million barrels per day from global markets amid concerns over weakening oil prices. Saudi Arabia, Russia, Iraq, and 4 other members had later shifted strategy, gradually restoring production beginning in 2025. If approved, the September increase would complete the reversal of the second of the 3 production cut packages introduced by OPEC Plus, marking another step in the group's efforts to normalize output levels. Analysts say the September increase is likely to be the last in the current series of production adjustments. Europe continues to battle a wave of devastating wildfires fueled by extreme heat, prolonged dry conditions, and strong winds. Greece, France, and Spain remain among the world's worst affected, with large-scale evacuations and firefighting operations underway, while authorities warn that the changing weather conditions could trigger fresh flare-ups. Didi India's Deepika Yadav brings us more.
Wildfires driven by strong winds continued to rage across several parts of Greece, including areas near Athens. Authorities ordered evacuations from multiple settlements, while more than 300 firefighters, 92 fire engines, and helicopters remained engaged in operations. Earlier, over 200 residents from Agios Vasilios were evacuated by sea as emergency teams worked to contain the flames. The wildfire situation also remains serious in France, where firefighters continue to battle a blaze that reignited in the southeastern Var department. The fire has scorched around 1,800 hectares of land, prompting the evacuation of nearly 2,800 residents. Around 1,500 firefighters, backed by aircraft and helicopters, remain deployed as authorities hope improving weather conditions will help contain the blaze. Meanwhile, the French Prime Minister said the wildfires that ravaged the country are now under control and that the situation in the worst-hit Gironde department has become more stable. However, he warned that preventive measures would be reinstated immediately if weather conditions worsen. Spain, too, continues to face wildfire hotspots despite the government declaring an end to the national emergency. A fresh blaze broke out in Leon while conditions improved in Zamora and Castellón, allowing evacuated residents to return home. Authorities have also stabilized the major fires in Madrid and Avila that burned more than 70,000 hectares of land. Across the Atlantic, Washington State in the United States is also battling a fast-moving wildfire near the city of Spokane. Thousands of residents have been ordered to evacuate, with more than 200,000 acres currently burning across the state amid a record drought. Authorities have declared an emergency and mobilized additional firefighting resources. Deepika Yadav's report for DD India.
Torrential rains have wreaked havoc in Kerala over the past 72 hours. According to Chief Minister's office, 8 people have died, 8 are missing, 13 people were injured in heavy rains on the previous day. Kerala is bracing for more heavy rains and flooding on Sunday after a spell of stormy weather that has caused widespread disruption across the state. The India Met Department has issued an orange alert for 12 districts of Kerala, IMD has warned of heavy rains and the possibility of flash floods, mudslides, and inundation of roads and neighborhoods. Teen Indian sensation Tanvi Sharma clinched her maiden BWF World Tour title after defeating Vietnam's Thu Linh Nguyen at Taipei Open Super 300 badminton tournament today. The 17-year-old, who had finished runner-up at last year's US Open Super 300, needed 36 minutes to outclass Nguyen 21-16, 21-16 in the summit clash. Tanvi also became the first Indian to win the women's singles title at Taipei Open since Saina Nehwal, who had lifted the trophy in 2008. Tanvi is the youngest finalist in the tournament's history, surpassing Korean Lee Yong-dae, who was 17 years old and 287 days old when he reached the men's doubles final in 2006. Tanvi reached her maiden Super 300 final at the 2025 US Open at the age of 16. Well, that's it in this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get your latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. Scan the QR code on your screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Amritpal Singh. From my entire team here in Delhi, thank you for watching DD India Live. Bye-bye.